IDF is still continuing its operations, targeting the infrastructure. It's a pleasure to have from Ramallah Engineer Rahed, Minister of Works and Housing, the Palestinian Minister of Works and Houses. Welcome to Cairo today. To begin with, the Palestinian Authority is mobilizing in order to reconstruct Gaza. Well, today, as you know, the Gaza Strip has been badly destroyed. ما أنا بترجم أهو. أنا بترجمه وأنت مش سامعني بس مش سامعني. تمام سامعني. By holding a conference in order to reconstruct Gaza, and this conference should be planned regarding the messages that it needs to convey related to finance the reconstruction of Gaza, and it should be held in a good timing. What we're aspiring for from holding such conference is to find the required financing or funding of reconstructing Gaza in order to be ready for the Palestinian people, and in order to open schools, hospitals, and to extend electricity and power and sanitary systems in order to mitigate the human crisis humanitarian crisis that Palestinians are facing. This should be combined with humanitarian aid. This will require also rebuilding the Gaza economy and to provide proper funding for the economy to revive the economy and to support the development projects by supporting the service sector and the manufacturing sector. This also empowers the Palestinian Authority to show the suffering of the Palestinian people. This conference also, holding such conference, is really up to the will of the international community, and it entails overcoming some political hurdles in the process. Mr. Minister Antonio Guterres, UN Secretary, shared in a report that such report, which was requested by the UN General Assembly, it estimated that 35 billion US dollar are required to reconstruct Gaza. Did the Palestinian Authority receive any promises for any participation in the reconstruction of Gaza? The Palestinian Authority, represented in His Excellency Prime Minister in his talks with donors and other stakeholders, have discussed the reconstruction of Gaza, and it was proposed to have an independent committee to oversee the reconstruction efforts in Gaza, and that would have financial independence, and it should be led by a Palestinian minister from the Palestinian government. Yes, sir. I think Egypt also is keen to organize a conference in cooperation with the international society in order to reconstruct Gaza. What is your view on that, and what do you expect from this conference? And will there be any any contributions from the Arab world and the Arab countries to reconstruct Gaza? First of all, allow me to really value and commend the role played by Egypt through His Excellency President Sisi and the Egyptian Prime Minister for a few minutes ago. Egyptian Prime Minister announced that Egypt has unwavered and unchanged stance regarding the deportation of the Egyptian people. The same thing was stated by His Highness the King of Jordan. We value their support on both the political and financial levels, and all levels actually, and we fully coordinate. I think there is full coordination between the Palestinian Authority and the Egyptian authorities when it comes to organizing such conference. I think Egypt could hold this host this conference, but it needs to be well prepared. It should have well-planned mechanism, and it should aim to gathering all stakeholders under one umbrella, and we are aspiring that our Arab brothers and Islamic countries could support us in our cause regarding the reconstruction in Gaza. As in the past, as what happened after World War II, when the Marshall Project or the Marshall Plan was implemented in order to rebuild Europe. In the same manner, we are in hope that the Arabs will do the same when it comes to reconstructing Gaza. Thank you very much. You have been with us, the Minister of Housing and Public Works. The Egyptian-Qatari mediation have saved the ceasefire in Gaza. The people in Gaza are keen to see the second phase of the ceasefire deal, even though there are different responses and aggressions from Israel. There are some hostile actions that are forcing the West Bank in the West Bank by the IDF, that force people to move or to be displaced. This will be discussed with Dr. Ismail Turk, a political science professor, and from Maryland we have Mr. Barry Donadio, the political analyst, and from Ramallah. I will start with my guest from Cairo, Dr. Ismail. How do you see the actions by, well, efforts conducted by the Qatari and the Qatari and the Egyptian parties in order to make the ceasefire hold. What we're talking about right now is that we're talking about the six patch of freeing the hostages, the Israeli hostages. The Egyptians have carried out great efforts with both parties in order to make this ceasefire hold. Egypt has did great efforts in facilitating the humanitarian aid to the Palestinians. The Israelis were rigid and were trying to stop this humanitarian aid. Hamas have announced these hurdles that the Israelis were putting and the escalations they were doing in order to involve all stakeholders to address such problems. Otherwise, the ceasefire will not hold. I think the second and the third phases of releasing the hostages will be much harder. Yes, of course. Mr. Barry, what about the second phase of releasing the hostages, knowing that there are some horses, Badi'ot Ahrinot, the Israeli newspapers said that the second phase has been agreed upon, and the details about the second phase were discussed between Donald Trump and Benjamin Netanyahu. What do you think of that, sir?
Thank you for having me, and greetings to the other colleagues on the panel, especially in Ramallah. Peace to the Palestinian people. I will say that, yes, the peace is holding right now. We heard what Donald Trump has said. Donald Trump made a decision Saturday at noon that the hostages need to be released. I would not ignore that warning. I would take Donald Trump very seriously here. And yes, both sides agreed to a multi-process, releasing of hostages. But it looks to be, in my opinion, that the last 3 hostages that were released seemed very, very in poor condition health-wise. And, people see that, the public see that. We don't know what stories they were telling about their captivity. So Donald Trump stepped in and said what he said. He said there's going to be action taken if they are not released on Saturday. It's good that Palestinians are returning back to the north. I think these are all good processes. It's good that the peace is holding, and I will pray that it continues to hold.
And in this respect, what are the options? We need to know what are the options in front of the Palestinian Authority in light of the military pressure from the IDF and in light of the coming phase of mediation regarding Gaza agreement. Will you tell us, Mr. Murad, about this matter? The sound is breaking up.
No problem.
It seems that the communication was cut with Mr. Murad. I think Dr. Khaled Shurakat, professor of political affairs, has joined us from Amman. Welcome, sir. We're talking right now about the efforts that are being done to make things calm in the current situation in light of the deportation that's happening in the West Bank. First of all, allow me to thank you for having me, and for our guests and viewers. Israel didn't really stop when Israel stopped its operation in Gaza, they turned to West Bank. They have targeted Jenin camp and almost destroyed it all. As if the Palestinians are doing much more from apprehending the Palestinians. They are deporting them, and because they are destroying there is unprecedented destruction of the infrastructure there. It seems that the Israelis are moving in two directions. One on the Gaza Strip. After destroying almost everything in Gaza, you'll see overwhelming destruction of Gaza that is beyond belief, and it's impossible for anyone to live there. And at the same time, they are trying to do the same in the West Bank. Smotrich is promising to make the West Bank like Rafah and Jamalek, and this is in line with the ideology of the Zionists in Israel, is that deportation is a must, and it should take different forms, and it's happening, but in a different way in West Bank, What we're seeing right now is that we're not going into a smooth situation. The two states solution seems to be far-fetched, and on the contrary, we might witness a large-scale displacement in the coming period, especially towards the Jordan, because there are no borders that really organize the movement of people. This is why I think there will be activity on the Jordanian borders, and at the same time the Israelis are threatening to burn the whole place down. The Israelis didn't allow the mobile caravans to enter from the Egyptian borders, from the Egyptian side. So what we're seeing right now is going toward escalation. Yes, we have got that. Sorry, Dr. Khaled, because we have a limited time window. So let's go back to Dr. Ismail about the diplomatic steps that are required nowadays to be taken from the Arab countries in order to move to combat or fight the annexing of the West Bank to the Israeli lands. قالوا لي تمام. And will this be discussed during the Egypt expressed Egypt president has expressed it clearly that the Palestinians shouldn't be displaced, and we, as Egyptians, commended the Palestinians for holding for 75 years and sticking to their lands and not leaving it. I think Egypt has already put in place a plan to reconstruct Gaza after the 27th of February, this coming February. I think it all comes down to the unity of the Arab stance, and whether they will accept the Egyptian vision and support it, because now it's not about Egypt and Jordan alone. It's now about the whole Arab world, and this is why there must be unity behind the Egyptians, because Egypt works on the regional and the international levels. Egypt has been in talks with countries, in European countries, and is trying to push the agenda, reconstruction agenda, and to mitigate the situation in West Bank. However, there are efforts from Zionists that are supported by the Americans that are not based on any international legitimacy. On the other hand, Egypt has a well-detailed plan regarding the reconstruction of Gaza that should be implemented after the Arab League summit. In order, yes. And in this case, Mr. Barry, back to you. The United States, represented in Donald Trump, have called to have alternative solutions for the displacement of Palestinians from their lands, and Egypt now has come up with a plan. This plan is ready to be implemented. Do you think Donald Trump and the American administration are open to such suggestion, to hear such plan, and to at least deal with it?
Yes, I do absolutely think Donald Trump is going to listen to any of the plans that come up by al-Sisi as well as King Abdullah of Jordan. These are important players in the role of rebuilding Gaza. I forecast a Gaza with Palestinians. I think Palestinians, some may choose to go to Egypt and resettle, either permanently or temporarily, and I'm predicting in the Sinai Peninsula and also in Jordan. But I don't forecast 1.8 million Palestinians being completely displaced.
Hold on.
Yes, sir.
Well, sir, this is not a component of the Egyptian proposition. It is not about displacing the Palestinians to relocating them to Egypt. Of course, they are welcome. However, the point is to reconstruct Gaza while the Palestinians in the Gaza Strip without displacement. You think Trump will be open to such suggestion?
I think so. I think Trump will listen to Egypt as well as Jordan. The President Sisi as well as King Abdullah. These are very brilliant leaders. They have a wealth of experience. Trump is going to listen to them. They are our allies. We're strong allies with Egypt as well as Jordan. This is a problem that's been going on a very long time, since all of us watching probably have been children. The world is sick of violence in Gaza and in the Middle East. It's a problem that needs to be solved now. Now we're seeing tents being shipped in. We're hearing about thousands of humanitarian trucks crossing into Gaza. That doesn't sound like the actions of a genocide or an ethnic cleansing or a complete displacement. There are Palestinians staying there. They're in tents right now, and they'll be in tents until the buildings are rebuilt and Gaza can function on its own.
Mr. Morab, welcome once more. There is a census regarding the two-state solution. Do you think there will be efforts? There will be efforts from the West in order to dismantle the United Front, Arab Front. Well, there was I think many of the Arab leaders are against Trump's proposition of displacing or deporting the Palestinians. I think the Arabs are all for the two-state solution and refusing the displacement of the Palestinians. But it seems like that there are efforts to pressurize the Palestinians and the Arabs, but there are other countries that are against Trump proposal. Many other countries some of the global countries have also, the world countries have refused Trump's proposal, and some see it as a scandal. It's really a violation, and it comes nothing short of violation of international legitimacy. The Palestinians have a right of self-determination, and there were UN resolutions that give the Palestinians self-determination and to have and there is a two-state solution that allows the Palestinians to have their own country. So I don't think Trump or any other could force the Palestinians to move away from their country. For the past 15 years, there was racial cleansing for the Palestinians. There were genocides, and the Palestinians held their ground, and they are and the Palestinians and the Arabs and the international community, they all rejected such schemes which aim to dissolve the Palestinians issue, the Palestinian cause. Yes. Yes, I got it, sir. Masamrad. Dr. Khaled, the Israelis, or let's say a proposal that's being put in discussion now, it's called about Ramadan Pulse. They're proposing, or they're planning to consider Ramadan is a month where people could calm down, and perhaps it could be a bridge between two ceasefires. Do you think this is doable? Do you think it will work? Well, historically, everybody used to take Ramadan in consideration. For the Palestinians and for the Arabs, the Ramadan is a month of is a religious month, and however, some think that there will be attacks against the Israelis during that month. So we're trying to reassure everybody that we are going towards stabilizing the situation. However, there are, on the other hand, Israeli operations in the West Bank, and this could lead to escalations. So to apprehend the fighters or to or to, in the past, he used to apprehend some, well, could you please, since we're running out of time, could give us a brief regarding the Naft Ramadan? Do you think the Israelis will take this seriously? Well, it is again once more directed for the security forces. Well, it's a proposal. It was there last year and this year as well for the security apparatus, since they are they are directly involved with the Palestinians, but the extreme right is now running the government in Israel. Mr. Barry, let me go back to you once more. There are some remarks or exclamation marks by many regarding the statements that are not aligned really. I would like to know about the American administration that they want to allocate a land lot for the Palestinians. How about the concept of home? Do they know what it means to have a home for the Palestinians? Is it profound in the American culture, or is it just a piece of land you could displace people or house people there to make them reside as if a home is just a piece of land? And this seems to be out of context in our region. Do you have the same notion?
Yes, of course. And you'll find that most Americans are very compassionate for the Palestinian people. So I really forecast again, Palestine will be inhabited by Palestinians when it's all said and done and negotiations are over. I will also say this, Hamas will not be allowed to be permitted as an armed group anymore. So I think we should not dismiss Donald Trump's ultimatum this Saturday.
Well, I didn't really ask about Hamas. I'm talking about the Palestinians, really, citizens, families, children, elderly people who were born and raised. Do you think is it just a piece of land to them, or do you think it's a home for them?
No, certainly it is their home, and most Americans would agree that, Palestine should have a state of its own, and we have to get there. We have to get there through negotiation and sacrifice, and this has to be a multi-country agenda and coordination between a lot of groups, a lot of countries, and a lot of players.
Thank you all very much, our dear guests. This episode of the Middle East has finished. From Cairo. We have Mr. Ibrahim Turkan from